So if you are going to do the oil pan gasket on an E46, this is a 330 CI convertible that I have converted to be a ZHP. See the ZHP front bumper. It's got the if you know, you know, with the red label M Sport shock, so M Sport. So there's the subframe lowered. It ain't really all that big, honestly. Obviously, first thing you do, take off the front air guide thing. Just has those little half-turn screw lock things. Next, you got to get this reinforcement plate's got to come off, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. Once the reinforcement plate is lowered, the next thing you can get at are these bolts for the control arm. They're also 16, same as the reinforcement plate. Right there. I'm working on removing those bushings because I'm replacing them. See, they're just gone. I have polyurethane ones to replace it. Once you have that done, next thing you got to do, if you have an automatic, there'll be a bracket on the oil pan. I believe it's right there that holds the lines to the oil pan. You got to take that off. Next thing is the steering shaft right here. First of all, mark it, and then it'll be just an E10 bolt to take out. Make sure to replace that also. I also went ahead and replaced the engine mounts while I was there because they were completely gone. The important thing is to not touch the steering rack, because if you take the steering rack off of the subframe, it messes up the alignment of where it is, and then it'll have to be readapted, reinitialized. But basically, BMW says if you do it like this and bolt it back up, you shouldn't need an alignment. However, I just did tie rods and I had shocks done, so it's going to need alignment anyway. Now, working up top, you got to have one of these, obviously. Down here, I have yet to do this, but you got to disconnect the oil dipstick tube. The bolt is right there, so that oil dipstick tube needs to come out. You also need to remove the belts because you need to remove the power steering pump, and then you just kind of let the power steering pump sit there. It's fine, it's not going to go anywhere. You just let it sit there because the bolts for it attach to the oil pan. And that's all you need to do. You just got to get some extensions. So you got the engine mount arms right there. Lift this thing nice and high as you can get. You'll have to disconnect the DISA connector because it'll be too high. Other thing to mention is this level sensor. Make sure to take it off, because when you drop the control arm, now you are supposed to, what they recommend is you disconnect the control arm in there from the body and then let the control arm sit down. But I opted to keep it connected. This is most everything that I ended up disconnecting. These are the bolts for the control arm, 2 subframe bolts, the other 2 are inside. Steering shaft bolt, these are the nuts for the engine mount, and then 8 reinforcement plate bolts.